Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. Welcome to another 2023 Project Orchids video, regular Friday video. This is orchid number 5, the only Cattleya, and it's a long one because it includes messing about trying to get rid of scale and a repot coming out of a holy clay pot and trying something different. So when all the pieces were put together, it ended up quite a long one. So let's get going. I'm going to do something on film that I've never done before, and this orchid's going to get it, basically. Right, first of all, looking over this Cattleya, it's an unusual Cattleya in as much as none of those pseudo bulbs have been trained to grow upwards. They do it naturally. I've never wired or staked or done anything with this. And another unusual thing about this Cattleya is the length of the rhizome between the pseudo bulbs is almost non-existent. So it stays compact. This is in my smallest holy clay pot. And we do have quite a lot of bulbs. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Oh, and a stumpy one. So it's a very compact Cattleya. I'll put the picture of the blooms up now and the name. The name will take up the whole screen. Look at the size of the label I've had to do, but I have actually got a proper label for it. But as I say, I'll put it on the screen with a picture of the blooms. And the picture of the blooms is quite relevant because this sheath here is packed with buds. So providing they don't blast or rot, the sheath has already split, so there is air getting to them. So the chances are they will progress. So as far as this plant is concerned, the progress for the rest of the year really is to get it to bloom. So in other words, progress this flower spike. And I'm filming it now because I feel that in 2 months' time, this spike will have had time to develop and open. Now obviously if the blooms open and look like they're going to go over before it's going to get filmed next time, I'll put a little clip together in between that I can add on so that we don't miss the blooms. In round here we have another new growth pushing on. I don't know whether that one's going to develop any more than that actually. You know, this has been subject to the cooler temperatures, the same as everything else in here. But this Cattleya now is one of 5 left in the holy clay pots. That's it. That's all that's left. We've had rotting. You know, we've had the session with the root loss some time ago. I'm not going into that again. Some never recovered from that. So my number of Cattleyas has gone right down. We do have some mounted Cattleya types as well, but as far as my actual Cattleyas are concerned, I've got 2 Laelias, my apple blossom, and 2 Cattleyas, of which this is one. So, and I probably won't get any more unless I see a really healthy plant with a hell of a good root system that's already in a decent media and doesn't need an immediate repot, because that might actually be okay to keep. So anyway, as far as this one's concerned, so what are we going to do with it that we've never filmed before? There's a clue there. Now on this plant are some scale. I suspect they're dead, but how can you tell? How you can tell is to get rid of the bodies, which is what we're going to do now. And then when they're all gone, if next time you look they've come back, then they weren't all dead, were they? But there's no real way of telling. If you've got an adult scale on a plant, if you just put your nail against it and gently push and it just comes straight off without any effort, it's dead. But that doesn't mean to say it hasn't done its job, because the adult scale, the limpet-like thing, is where the eggs are laid. That's a female basically, and underneath are where the eggs are laid, and when they hatch out you've got the little white crawlers that move around and can change plants, yeah, and get down in the media, get down in leaf joints. They're the little peasants basically. Once the female has set effectively and created that limpet, it doesn't do any more damage, and it often doesn't even leave much of a mark where that has been. It's the little crawlers that do the worst of the damage. So the idea is we will get rid of everything we can see today, and then next time we'll have a look and see if there's anything come back. So I will have to put the camera on the tripod, and what I'm going to do is I've got a pair of scissors that have got a very sharp point. I'll show you what that bit's for. We're not cutting anything today. And then I've got some cotton wool buds and some rubbing alcohol. And that's what we're going to use. You can use an old very soft toothbrush, but go steady with the toothbrush thing, because sometimes you're actually scratching the surface of the plant and you can't see the damage you're doing, and then it shows up later. So, you know, that can be deemed a little rough, especially on leaves. Anyway, I'll shut the camera off and get it set up on the tripod nice and close in so that we can see what we're doing, and we'll have a go at cleaning this Cattleya up. Right, so rubbing alcohol will evaporate quite quickly, so you need to be methodical if you're going to work over a plant. So first of all, we look at this bulb, and there is virtually nothing on this bulb. These are just marks, so that bulb's clean. We'll go round systematically, that's a big word for little coffee, again underneath the leaves, there's a little possible there, one there, and then we get to this type of thing where you've got a sheath that is clear. It's like a wafer thin membrane. They will get under there. They manage to find a gap. There are a few round the base of this one and that one, so that's that done. Then the one next to it, now this one has got a few down the base, again round the base of the rhizome, so we will see if we can get all those off. I don't know how much of this you're actually going to be able to see, because I suspect my hand's in the way. And the next one round, again a few round the base. These are coming off too easy to be alive. I think they're dead already, which is good. In theory, that means the hot box is doing its job, because nothing's been sprayed in here for some considerable time. With these temperatures, I'm frightened to death of getting anything wet. Right, on the leaf, one there, one there. Anything under the leaf? One. Oh, these are just falling off. I believe they're dead. Right, where did we get to? This one's next. This one's still got a sheath on, so we will get rid of that straight away. Although I don't see any signs of actual scale. This thin skin-like membrane that you get underneath the sheaths, not sheaths, the sheaths on the pseudo bulbs. If you get one of these and some rubbing alcohol, you can take it off. It sort of dissolves it and allows you to rub it. You have to rub quite hard, but you can get it off. Then you've got a nice clean pseudo bulb underneath with nowhere for the little blighters to hide. Now, this one I've already done, and I missed some. I've just seen them. They're round the back, and they are underneath that clear membrane. So we'll see if we can get as much of that off as possible. Back to that one. See if we can get this off. So you wouldn't need to use rubbing alcohol to get this membrane off. You could just probably use water. But see, this bit doesn't want to come off, so it's not ready yet. So try again another time. Right, where did we get to? There, this one. Membrane again. May want to come off, and it may not, but there's nothing hiding underneath this one. The beauty of it is you can see through it. There's a little bit of scale around the base. Right, there's one in the middle, a very old pseudo bulb. Does have a few on, not much. And then there's another old leafless pseudo bulb here. It's got a few around the base. Need to get right in there because there's roots over the base. They could be in under the roots. Right, now where are we? This one next. I can see some definitely hiding there. Few again around the base. That membrane's coming off on that one, so it was ready. As I said, it doesn't always, sometimes it really does stick, and if you try hooking it off with your nail, you will probably dig your nail in and damage the pseudo bulb, so go steady with that idea. Same with if you use some sort of sharp instrument, you're more likely to damage the bulb. And this latest one that's going to bloom soon. I think that's about it. So why did I get the scissors out then? I will show you. I'll just lift the camera up. I've got the scissors out for another place they hide that is difficult. That process wouldn't deal with them. See if I can find one that is guilty. It's usually where an old flower spike has been, and they get down in there and they form a colony, and it's got a wax coat on it. So sprays will not touch them. They're hiding underneath a film that the spray won't dissolve. But what you can do is get something very, very sharp and carefully hook the membrane off, hook the top. Now I'm doing it there, but there aren't any. I'm not sure I've actually got it. Yeah, I think we might have a little bit on this one, perhaps. But you'll just see it as a sort of dirty patch. And then when you dig into it and hook them out, they're in underneath the film on the top. And whether these are alive or not, I don't really know. I don't think they are. You're better doing it with something, not a pair of scissors, because these keep closing on me. And they're sharp. I don't want to get my fingers in. But anyway, when you've broken the film and hooked as many as you can out, then you can put the alcohol down in the groove and it will work because there's no film to stop. Now, a word of warning with rubbing alcohol on plants. Now, Cattleyas are probably relatively safe because their leaves are very thick and fleshy. But if you put a load of alcohol on an oncidium leaf, you could dehydrate it. This has an evaporative nature, which is how it basically kills. It soaks into the little bugs, yeah, so that it gets sort of into them almost, and then evaporates really rapidly and totally dehydrates them. That's how it sort of works. It isn't really a bug killer, but it has a methodology. I mean, that's how it works if you rub it on your hands. It's not the alcohol itself that's doing the work, it's the evaporation that does it. That rapid evaporation just takes the moisture right out of everything. So anyway, we have buds to come. You can see them through there. Actually, let me, as we've got the camera down here, I'll see how close I can get in. So you can get a good look at what's... I can't get down low enough, I don't think. See, I can go close with this camera, but everything has to be very still. I think that's in focus. Possibly. But anyway, you can see the shadow in there. You can see the stem starting and the cluster of buds across the top. That will extend, come out of the top, and then we will have, hopefully in the not too distant future, some very nice blooms. So there we go, that's orchid number 5, the only Cattleya representative, and something a little unusual filmed on the end. Okay, last time we looked at this little Cattleya, it was in bud. The buds were just showing in the sheath. So it's you can sort of say that roughly 2 months later, or a bit less, the blooms actually open. So it's taken that long for the spike to develop and the blooms to open. Now, when I was looking at these buds, I expected some of them to blast, but I don't think they will. I think the ones that are left are going to actually open. So that will give us a nice little cluster of blooms. It's a very attractive bloom. I like my reds, and this is, apart from that very little bit of yellow in the middle, it's all red, which is good. I like that. Now, as for the plant, obviously there's no new growths coming at the moment, but there should be very soon. We've got some signs of root activity. This has never been a very good plant at producing a good root system. The roots always look a bit tatty and fragile. They never look strong. But effectively, there's more than one lead here. This is a lead going down here, so that could produce a new growth. So could this one. So that's 2 on this section of the plant. And then over here, we've obviously got the lead here that's currently got the blooms on. So there's potential for 2 or 3 new growths on this. And they would be going in different directions, and the new growth that comes on here will be over the side of the pot. So once this is finished blooming and I can see some signs of new growth, this will come out of this pot. And if I'm going to keep it as a single plant, which I probably will, effectively there's only 1 or 2 leafless bulbs, and one of those actually had to be cut because it was showing signs of rot. So that's the only old leafless bulb at the moment. So I'd probably keep the plant intact. So there'll be a repot to come on this in the future. I'm not saying when. I mean, these blooms have only just opened. I'd expect 4 weeks out of them, especially as some haven't opened yet. And hopefully we will get some new growths pushing on in the not too distant future. We need to get this out of the pot. And we might be doing something different, but you'll have to wait and see. Right, so to get this out of the pot, it's wired in. So first job is get the wire off, as it won't come out while that's still there, that's for sure. Now what I propose to do is cut the wire very close to the pot, and then try and ease the wire back through the hole gently. As I said, I've got a lot of new root growth here. I don't want to go mad. Just want to get the tip of the wire inside the pot. Don't need to take the wire off completely. We can wait till it comes out of the pot to do that. I just need to get the tip inside like that. Yeah. So, oh, it's broken anyway. So there we go. Right. Now, that one was quite easy. It depends how I fitted them. If I just tipped the end over like that, in all cases, then these should come off quite easily. Two. Let's get the label out of the way. Yes, I've been having a think about, it was actually, I was just going to say Michael McIntyre, Michael McCarthy, actually reminded me of one of the reasons why these are coming out of the holy clay pots that I'd forgotten, and that is evaporative cooling. I've got cool temperatures in the winter now. I don't want to exaggerate those cool temperatures by actually having evaporative cooling, cooling my Cattleya roots even more. So there's another good reason for them coming out of the holy clay pot. And I've now given away the secret by saying we're going to do something different, because we are. Now, some of these roots that come out through the pot and stick, they're unlikely to make it, quite honestly, highly unlikely. They're just going to break off, especially ones like that. But we shall see. There's none coming out of the bottom of the pot. Now sometimes you can just wiggle and the whole thing will come out like that. Roots didn't even get down to the bottom of the pot. but you can see loads of old dead tired roots here, lots. So we're not going to attempt to completely get everything off. So there's a solid mass of dead roots up under the centre of the plant. Well, we're going to have to get some of them off, that's for sure, because they will restrict the path of the new roots. So I'm just going to hack them. And that should create a pathway for all these new roots, providing I don't break them all off getting the old media out. This media is not gone over as such, but this has been in this pot a while now. It's all this dead stuff I want out, and the associated media that's stuck to it. So it just forms like a solid mass, and roots can have trouble getting down through that. So by having a dig round, it should open up the base of the plant a bit. I'm surprised actually, because some of the really large pieces of bark are right up near the base of the plant. Normally I would only use those for crocking. You know, I mean this big stuff like this. Do you know, that's been in that pot quite a long time. That is still rock hard. This is that one-off bark that I got that I can't get again, sadly, because it is rock hard. And that's, you know, that's used bark now. That's been in a pot and had water poured on it frequently, and you know, been allowed to age, and it's still rock hard. If only that could be repeated. Now that came from Spiceotics. Where they got it from, I don't know. But wherever they got it from, I believe the source dried up. It was a sort of one-off. There was a reason for it not being able to get to the UK to be sold, and it may well have been something to do with CITES, the actual type of bark, and therefore the tree that it came from might have gone on to a protected list for whatever reason. And it could be something as simple as that, is that the tree type suddenly became, you know, such that lots of paperwork would be needed to move even the bark. Right, I've still got some solid areas that I would like to tease. We are getting very close to new root tips now. See this new growth here up against the side of the pot, there's several little root tips there. Well, they'll now have space, they'll have somewhere to go, and hopefully they'll stop pointing upwards and start growing downwards. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to get much more than that out, I don't think. Do you know what? This is 2 plants. I didn't know that. Yeah, it's 2 plants. See, the trouble is, that's not the sort of thing I note. You know, that's not the sort of thing I write in my in my notes. I do now, because with the Oncidium types that you buy, it's almost always 2 plants in the pot. That's how they get 2 flower spikes. I encourage you to buy. It's one of their little games they play to get you to actually purchase the thing. Cool, look at this plant, it's really good, it pushes up 2 spikes at once. Yeah, no it doesn't. And you get it home and it never does it again. Right, so we have 2 plants. This is the bright red Cattleya with the cluster flowers. It is the sort of Cattleya that would sell, definitely, because of the brightness and vibrance of the colour of the blooms. It's also got something else going for it that's rare with Cattleyas, it grows bolt upright. That's never been wired. Look at the pseudobulbs, they're bolt upright and they're tight together, very short rhizomes. That's how it grows. So you don't have to worry about staking and all that sort of stuff. It just grows naturally upright, which is good. Now this is a weaker piece. Oh no, the new growth's been broken. Well, it's a strong section with lots of roots coming out. It will push another one out. That's a shame. I didn't notice that, I must admit. I didn't see how that happened. Highly lightly as it came out of the pot, as I grabbed hold of the whole plant. Highly lightly. That's a shame. That's not the first time I've done that on a Cattleya. I'm sure it won't be the last. Now I'm just looking at the moment at these dead scale that are just falling off. I did go round a while ago and sort of get rid of the bodies of the scale. There are no live scale on these plants. So the hot box is working, but it's not working at the moment. In fact, it's not being put on at all at the moment. And there's a very good reason for that. The reason is the hot box needs to work in a still environment, which means all the fans have got to go off. And in this heat that we've got at the moment, I'm not prepared for my leaves to start heating up to that extent. So I'm leaving the fans on and the hot box off. And we'll come back to the hot box when it cools down a bit. It's supposed to be a bit cooler this week. We might even get some rain. You've heard that before. Right, so we have two pieces. One that's still with its new growth, which is the better piece of plant, and the other smaller piece with its new growth knocked off. It will grow another one. It's got root activity. It's got, you know, the potential to put another one out. My decision, let me just rescue this big bark. We do not waste this bark. I can't get it again. That just gets put in a saucepan with some boiling water for 5 minutes and then left to dry. So it gets sterilised. It doesn't affect the hardness of it. And then I've got crocking or large bark for things that need large bark forevermore. Every time I repot, I rescue it. I'm not wasting stuff like that. It's far too good. Right, so we've got a little bit of clearing up to do. Not a lot. And then we will come back and we are going to do something quite different with these. I'll be back. Right, new plan. No holy clay pot, therefore Cattleya very top heavy. Therefore 2 big lumps of lava rock in the bottom of my wide shallow plastic pot. Wired in such a way that I held the plant to decide where I wanted it to be in the pot and put the wire through to enable me to pot it in that position, and then did the same with the other piece. Yeah? This is the piece that would be a little uncertain where the new growth is going to come from. So the wire is already in position in the right place through the holes that I want. There'll be no point in putting all the bark and everything in and then trying to put the wire up through. Now this lovely rock hard bark that I said I don't waste, it's going straight back in the pot. Straight back in the pot. And that will become the base of where this plant's going to grow. And the next thing is we've got medium bark. Well, it's a mix. This is classed as medium bark, but in with it is some smaller pieces. You could say it's almost a mix, but it's what I could get at the time. And I want enough of this on the surface for any roots to get into prior to getting down to the bottom of the pot where they'll be almost in air if they get given the chance. So that needs a little bit more underneath it. If you're going to wire a plant in, you need to get the height of the plant right first, because once you put the wire on and pull it tight, that's the height of the plant. You can't get any underneath. So you have to get it right, and I'm happy with that. And then I'm going to push one wire across there, like so, and then the other one, I'm just going to take the length off because they're sort of getting in the way. Never mind the plant falling over, that's just about to get grabbed hold of. It's got bark underneath it. Most of the new roots are pointing towards the middle of the pot, and all I want to do now is twist that like so, and then holding the plant nicely, we will get the big pliers on that and twist. Pull and twist. Now this is what I have to do with all my bonsai trees. They have to be wired in because by definition a bonsai is virtually always top heavy. It's a tree in a small pot. And it's outside. You know, what do we get outside that we don't get in the grow room? Wind. Wind and rain and storms. So, you know, you've got to have your plant secure in its pot. It's got to be done. That's nice and secure there. It's no wobble at all. And we will worry about topping the bark up around the roots in a minute. Right, now let's have a look at this one. Now that's where the new growth broke off. That was the previous growth. I'm not going to take any of the old bulbs off because the only one I would take off are these two leafless ones, and that's half the plant, and it would take out this one that's actually got a nice leaf, and it is potentially capable of a new growth out of there as well as somewhere around here. So I'm just going to plonk that sort of, yeah, it's going to have to go that way, like that. Again, some media underneath, get the plant at the sort of height I want. It's a little bit taller than the other one, so be it. And then I'm going to put the wire this time through there. You just have to find a place where you're not liable to garrot any new growths. I have a job on this piece because I've just already done that, probably with my fingers. That's careless on my part. I wasn't watching what I was doing. When I grabbed hold of this, I was sort of, my mind was thinking I could show how easy sometimes things come out of clay pots, and while I was concentrating on grabbing the plant to demonstrate that, I forgot I had a new growth sticking out. The little brain can't cope with too much all at once. And that was just one of those times. It was a shame, you know, I mean, that was a nice strong new growth. And it's now lost. Well, there's no good crying over it. It's gone now, isn't it? All we've got to do now is wait for another one. It's like if you just missed the bus. You just stand at the bus stop and wait for another one. Unless you live out in the country like I do, in which case you've got an hour to wait. You just want to go home, have a coffee and come back later. Right, so that's basically got the two pieces of plant nice and secure. Now what we've got to do is cover the roots up. We've got nowhere near enough media, which I'm surprised. Normally I've got too much. Oh no, I've still got a bit in the jug. Jolly good. Might just about be enough. There's no jamming down, firming or anything like this with Cattleyas. You just make sure the media goes into all the holes and don't worry if there's an air gap. You know, Cattleyas quite like that to a degree. And this is quite hard bark, so you don't have to worry if it's sort of slightly up the pseudo bulb either, because you know the stuff is going to dry so fast when it's watered. Right, so that's root tips covered up, secured by wire and not top heavy because of the two large pieces of lava rock. And I'm happy with that as a change. And I'm happy that the change is not dramatic. The roots are still in bark. They were in bark, they're still in bark. And I think just the change of media to fresh bark, they will hardly notice the difference. So this is an update following the repot. We've got good root activity going on. Yeah, so plenty of roots on the move, that's good. And the new growth that was broken off, a new one has started. And in addition to that, another one has started over there. So effectively this piece of plant reacted to the damage by pushing out two new growths. I wouldn't run around damaging your plants in the hope that that'll happen. I would say that's a little unusual. So anyway, that piece of plant has now got two new growths. Hopefully they'll both bloom. They've got backup, they've got bulbs with leaves. And then the other plant already had its new growth pushing on. And that is doing just that. It's just pushing on. There's no more new growths on that piece. But again, we've got root activity. So this has never been a very good rooter, this particular Cattleya. Its bonus is its upright growth and its very short rhizome, so it always stays a compact plant. So all that's left to do with this now is to grow it on. And let's get these new growths mature and hopefully get some spikes. This is one of my few bits of red. I've got very few red orchids, but this is one of them. Okay, so that's that one. Okay, this is our final look at this one. So sort of end of year update. Quite a lot of messing about with this one through the year, but nonetheless it's survived, and I think out of the Cattleyas that I've got, it's the one that appears to do best despite not growing very good roots. Now it has got root activity going on, but they're stunted roots. They're not getting going very quickly, but some of them underground are. They're actually pushing out towards the edge of the pot. Now what we've got here is a new growth with a good sheath, and you know, there's no lump at the base of the sheath yet. That's a way of telling if you've got buds. But this one tends to have a bit of a rest between forming the sheath and the buds actually growing. Sometimes the sheath even starts to go brown before the buds push out. There's another new growth coming up here, which is good because we actually lost one. And there's another new growth over here. So this one currently has a growth maturing and two new ones. Now the chances are the two new ones will mature around the same time and could possibly bloom together, but they'll be way behind this one. I doubt if there's going to be three lots of blooms all at the same time. Highly unlikely. Anyway, it's doing okay. I'm quite pleased with it, and obviously it's now going to slow down. It's winter time, not because it's losing the light. This one is under the lights. It's the only Cattleya is it? No, my Laelia anceps is also under the lights, but this one is under the lights, but I can't do much about the lower daytime temperatures, so it's going to have to put up with those. But hopefully the lights will keep it growing, all but a bit slower than possibly it would have done if I had the heat in the daytime to go with the lights. Anyway, it's doing okay. I'm pleased with it, and a nice splash of red when it does bloom. So there we go. That was orchid number 5. A video including absolutely everything. Descaling, coming into bloom, a repot with a change of format. Yeah, so everything in a year's worth of Cattleya. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.